The Boulder terrorist had his entire family arrested by the Trump administration. The White House announced they're going to give 6 express tickets to his family. His wife and 5 kids had their visas revoked, and they're getting sent back home. It's bold action from the Trump administration. A lot of people were surprised by this, but I think a lot of people were more surprised to find out that this guy had 6 people total in his family. And the question is whether or not they were all illegal, because he came here on a standard, I think it was a B1 visa, maybe like a tourist visa, and overstayed it, which implies his family likely was here illegally as well and protected by the Biden administration, which is, it's crazy to think that's where we're at. Now, Tom Homan is saying we're going to be dealing with security issues like this for 10 years because the Biden administration likely let in many more individuals like this. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we've got Elon Musk slamming Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. He's saying it's full of pork and bloat, and it's going to increase the deficit by massive amounts. And he's right. You know, it's what you get. They say they're going to cut government, but they don't, because everybody is addicted to the spending, and they don't care if they're kicking the can down the road. The problems are likely going to get worse. Now, we do have some AI stories in this regard, because Trump's big, beautiful bill protects AI from regulation at the state level for 10 years. And on a funnier note, a Microsoft, I believe it, I could be wrong about this. I want to be careful because of, litigation. But anyway, I think it's a Microsoft company. There's an AI company that has declared bankruptcy after it was turned out it wasn't actually AI. It was 700 Indians. Yeah. It's not a joke. That's actually a story. 700 Indian people, that computers pretending to be bots making AI stuff. So that's where we're at. Anyway, we're going to talk about that more. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor. It is HomeTitleLock.com. My friends, you got to check out Home Title Lock. You can go to, HomeTitleLock.com using promo code TIM. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. And if you're like me, the answer is, well, to be fair, before we did this, the answer was, yeah, I didn't ever check. The problem is in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom. Your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know what's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing and find out today if you're already a victim. Use promo code TIM at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now using promo code TIM. Again, that's HomeTitleLock.com. So promo code TIM. Don't forget, we got Cast Brew Coffee, the best coffee you will ever have. I guarantee it. I'm allowed to say that, I think. It's an opinion. We got Appalachian Nights. We got Ian's Graphene Dream. We got Rise with Roberto Jr. Stand Your Grounds. We got Coffee Pods. And we got Ian's Graphene Dream Coffee Pods. Take a look at that. So if you like low acidity coffee, check that out. But more importantly, go to Timcast.com and click Join Us to become a member of our Discord server. As a member of our Discord server, you're going to be hanging out with tens of thousands of like-minded individuals. There's a channel for every state. There's, so I hear, there's a fitness channel. There's people playing video games, developing video games. You can get involved and find community. So a lot of people, they're always saying, like, where do I get started? How do I do this? Hey, look, man. Join our community. You can call into the after show and actually talk to us and our guest Monday through Thursday on Timcast IRL's members-only exclusive uncensored show. It's also going to be on rumble.com/TimcastIRL, but you can call in if you are a member. And there's going to be people who are going to help you get started, whatever it is you're trying to do. Turn your life around, build a business. There are people there hanging out. They want to be friends with you. So don't forget to also smash that like button. Share the show with everyone. Right now, everybody watching, if you took that URL and posted it on all social media, we'd be the biggest show in the world. And I'll settle for just, your guys' help in sharing whatever you can do. It really does help. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is ROMA Nation.
Second time's a charm. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good.
Who are you? What do you do?
All right. Well, I'm the host of ROMA Nation. My name is AK. I'm also the founder of the ROMA Nation Network. We're 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, actually right after your show now. Yeah, so we do. We also have other shows, like Sunset Rants that goes throughout the week. We also have. You can find us at riseofmiddleamerica.com. Go to the top right-hand corner, and that's where you see all of our socials. You can join us on Rumble, YouTube, on X, everywhere. On the internet.
That
Right.
voice,
Yeah, a voice made for podcasting.
right? Totally.
Thanks for hanging out. It's going to be fun. We got Elad hanging out.
Good evening, everybody. I am Elad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. How's it going, Phil?
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's a story from the Post-Millennial. Wife and 5 children of Boulder terror suspect arrested by ICE, facing deportation. Not just that, the White House put out a statement saying 6, this is literally from at White House, 6 one-way tickets for Mohammed's wife and 5 kids. Final boarding call coming soon. That's bold. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. Check this out. They say that the news was first broken by Laura Loomer. Shout out to Laura Loomer. She has been killing it with her reporting as of recent. And get this. She tweets, DHS has exclusively confirmed to me that Muslim Brotherhood terrorist Mohammed Sullivan's wife and 5 kids have officially been taken into ICE custody and they are being processed. DHS tells me they became aware of his children following Loomer Unleashed exclusive reporting, including the fact that his daughter just graduated from Thomas McLaren State Charter School in Colorado and is set to attend college in Colorado. Not anymore. Apparently, they will all now be deported. And I have questions. I mean, were they here illegally? I've seen reporting that their visas, I think, is this Bill Malugan? I don't know. Yes, Here he goes. Bill Malugan says, the State Department confirms to Fox News that all visas for Boulder terror attack suspect Mohammed Sullivan's family have been revoked. ICE arrested all of them earlier today, and they are now in federal custody being processed for expedited removal and fast deportation. So it sounds like they may have been here legally. Now, I'm going to make an assumption. They came here illegally, overstayed their visas, and then got special provisions from the Biden administration.
Yeah, that's the reporting that I've heard. But look, the whole family should go back. Sorry, if they're here on visas and your father does this kind of stuff, you got to go back to where you came from. There was something that I saw on Twitter earlier today or yesterday that Stephen Miller is extremely unhappy with the number of deportations and how fast it's happening. That echoes what you hear from people on the internet. Everybody, frequently, you hear people say, it's not happening fast enough. It's been this many months. Where's this? Where's that? And I think that Stephen Miller is echoing that. And I think that this kind of stuff is part of the result of the administration paying attention to what people on the internet and their supporters think.
Right. And could you imagine if Osama bin Laden's family was here during 9/11? I mean,
right. And then if the government put them on planes and shuttled them out secretly.
Exactly. What, are you going to keep them here? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I hope people are aware that literally happened.
Yeah. His family was here.
But I think they were, his family was shuttled out protectively. And the argument they gave was that the family wasn't associated and they were concerned for their safety or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I heard too. I heard that it's the builder magnet kind of dude that was his dad was in the U.S. doing that stuff. So,
well, Biden let this guy stay here illegally, and this is what happens.
All of this stuff can be directly given right to the Democrats, and they haven't even come out and strongly denounced this. I haven't heard any,
not once,
Washington Democrats even make a remark about this.
No, they're struggling to avoid having to take responsibility for the rhetoric and for the ideologies they promote. Mm-hmm. Democrats have been having these secret meetings. I love it. They give all of them top secret names. Not kidding. They've got, what do they have? So everyone knows about Project Sam, right?
What was Sam?
Project Sam?
Yeah.
That's where the Democrats spent $20 million to try and figure out how to talk to American men.
Okay, all right, that's
yeah, Project Sam.
I didn't realize that was called Project
That's a
Sam.
thing?
Yes. Yeah. Now, hold on. Project Searchlight and Wildflower. These people are so deranged. And I just take a look at what Nate Silver was reporting, where they got a high rate of mental illness. This is what you get. They blindly march in lockstep with crackpot agendas and ideologies that make no sense. They allow these lunatics, unvetted, or sometimes they know they're dangerous, to stay in this country. And this is what happens. When they try to assess, hey, what's wrong with the Democratic Party? Why are people leaving? They're like, I get an idea. Let's spend $10 million going to a resort where we'll have a special event called Project Starlight. And then we're going to talk about why we can't attract regular working people. And it's like, maybe it's your fake movie-esque code names and inability to discern, like, how to live like a normal person.
Democrats really are the theater kids.
Yep.
And it shows.
That's all of Congress. I mean, pretty much. They're just the ugly kids that couldn't,
So what I think is absolutely fascinating, well, first and foremost, Laura Loomer, I don't think could get enough credit for her phenomenal reporting here, and the influence she has in the administration can't really be understated. There was other reporting today that she met with Vice President J.D. Vance. So Laura Loomer has her fingers probably not only in the executive branch, but probably also over at DHS. So her reporting also led to the deportation here. I think what the story is going to turn into is it being not just about this guy and his terrorist attack, but it will ultimately be about the decision to deport his family members as well. They likely weren't citizens. I think the reporting showed that they were here on visas, but I think moving forward, the Democrats will actually choose to defend this person's family. They will say this,
Yep.
They don't deserve it. They have no relation to him, despite the extremism definitely in the family. The wife definitely knew something about this.
This is the criminal action of one man.
Yeah, and I think we should also recognize a little bit more about the culture that Muhammad comes from and how they view these acts of violence versus how we view it in a Western sense. So some people here will condemn it. Many pro-Hamas or pro-Palestine people will actually commend this guy and justify it and say this is an act of resistance and he's a martyr. But when he goes back to Egypt or Kuwait or this family, wherever they're deported to, they will be brought back as heroes, actually.
I had an idea.
It's a death cult.
I had an idea. Why did this guy attack some random Americans who are trying to raise awareness peacefully for these hostages? He's concerned about Gaza. Figured it out. He's from Egypt. Here's an idea for his family. In Egypt, they can petition their government to open the Rafah crossing and help all of those people. Why did he come here and firebomb people instead of doing that?
It's a good question.
Why did an Egyptian come to the United States, plan a terror attack on Americans, instead of actually in his country bordering Gaza, do something about it there?
I imagine there's nothing that he can do, obviously.
It's easier to...
I mean, let's just be real. Literally anything he does in Egypt is more effective than attacking random Americans.
It's easier to attack defenseless Jews, old 70-year-old, 80-year-old women than it is
and children
to go fight.
And it's
I'm even saying fight. I'm saying if he's literally standing in Egypt holding a sign saying "Open Rafah," why? That's the right one, right?
I imagine
Rafah. Yeah,
I imagine most Egyptians don't want that either. Whenever the Palestinians get together,
he comes
they tend to, try to overthrow the government.
Yeah. Well, isn't it the same reason why you have people that are on the streets that they're like, pro-Palestine or whatnot, and say, oh, okay, well, why don't you let them come into your home and stay with you? And of course, they're going to say absolutely not, or they walk away.
Yeah, but
even with immigrants.
I think when it comes to, at least with this context, like the guy, he really didn't like the Jews. Like that was the driving factor. He didn't like Israelis, and the people that were here were connected because they're Jewish. So.
I mean, was Jewish the actual motivation? Because I know he was screaming "Free Palestine." See, Fox News called it an anti-Semitic attack, and I'm like, oh, okay, but they didn't actually explain why it was anti-Semitic. They explained why it was anti-Israel or anti-Zionist. If they're just saying that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitic, okay, but they didn't explain that either.
Make that argument.
Which one?
That anti.
All right, I'm asking, when Fox News says this, can you please explain what you mean when you say this? Because if this is important, did this guy go out screaming he hated Jews? I think that matters. That's not been reported, but they are calling it an anti-Semitic attack, so I'd like to know what their distinction is.
I mean, does that mean it's open season on Jews so long as we call them Zionists when we're attacking them?
Who said that?
No, I'm just saying. So if we could dress up anti-Semitic attacks as anti-Zionist attacks, and I could go to a synagogue and do what I have to do, but if I say it in the name of anti-Zionism, is that just an immediate cover for whatever crimes?
The issue here is that he attacked people who are bring awareness to hostages, and the issue was Palestine and Israel, and so I'm asking a legitimate question. If they're saying that he hates the Jews, if you're bringing up that he hates Jews, I'm like, what is the reporting that there was motivation on this? I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying, what's the reporting on that? I think it's important that we actually have a distinction and we understand the motivations of these people.
I think we like to hold, no, I don't think we do, but people in the media like to hold Israel to a double standard, and we spin up crazy narratives about Israel that drives people to go crazy. And I think that double standard is the anti-Semitism. So for example, like yesterday, there's a story coming out about how we have a Gaza humanitarian aid program that we're starting there, and allegedly 30 Palestinians were killed according to the Gaza Health Administration run by Hamas. And it turns out these numbers are likely completely made up, and people become fanatic as a result of this fake news and disinformation spread about Israel.
Yeah,
But how is criticism of a government criticism of Jews?
I think it's the double standard held to Israel. People love to scream that Israel's committing genocide when it blatantly and obviously isn't, and will overlook other genocides that are happening simultaneously.
yeah,
But that could still just be an Israeli double standard, not a Jewish one.
I think the double standard exists because it's the Jewish state. There's so many people who apply the double standard uniquely to Israel because it is the Jewish state.
There's not a lot of Americans that know the difference, though, right?
No,
Well, I mean, some of them do, but they know the difference between Israeli and actual Jewish people in America. I mean, you've talked about it on your show a couple of times in that aspect.
What do you mean?
So, certain people don't understand that what's happening over there is not a microcosm of Jewish people in America, and they can't decipher between the two.
I'm just saying that on the news, I'm seeing them say this is an anti-Semitic attack, and I was like, wow, was this guy like targeting Jews specifically because they're Jews?
So as far as I know, I don't know exactly what he said, but as far as I know, he didn't specify Jews. He was saying Palestine. So
yeah. I mean, I think
pro-Palestine, not anti-Jew.
Well, I don't, like I said, I listened to some of the back and forth, and I didn't hear him clearly say anything specific about Jews. So
I just don't like this identity politics issue where it's like, when you bring up crime stats or whatever, they call you racist or something like this. And it's like, look, man, I'm just trying to figure out what the motivations for these things are. And I think the challenge is there are factions of the right and the left that literally just hate Jews. And they also hate Israel because it's a Jewish state. And so that's where a lot of this is anti-Semitic comes from, because the assumption is they must be one of those factions. But then there's anti-war, anti-interventionist, libertarian types, liberals or otherwise, who are like, or conservatives. We don't want to be involved in whatever Israel's involved in. We don't want to be paying for their bills. And I think it's not anti-Semitic to be critical of a government.
No. Like, people like antiwar.com, they really like ride that edge really, really well. And I think that Scott Horton, actually, even though this is going to give a lot hives, I think Scott Horton, makes it clear that he's not anti-Semitic, but he's probably...
I just call him an anti-Israel terrorist or a pro-Palestine or a pro-Gaza terrorist.
I don't think Scott Horton could string together a sentence that he doesn't shoehorn Israel into. So, I mean, that's really all I have to...
There are people who are obsessed with Israel, man, I'll tell you that.
He's got focus.
So I wanted to go full circle. The playbook that the Trump administration is applying here is great, and I think needs to be applied to more far left terrorists and Islamists that exist and continue to rear their heads in our country. And I think the administration will apply this to other people and use it more liberally moving forward. I don't want to turn this into a Jewish sob story because people don't care to hear about Jewish sob stories at all. If Jews want to actually do something to fight back against these people, it's to arm themselves. Nobody cares to hear about, we were victims here, or Josh Shapiro is a victim, or outside of the embassy. Unfortunately, nobody gives a crap. You actually need to arm and defend yourselves, and that's when people will care.
I will
get
say,
the message.
Have we? I will ask this question: have we seen any Ukraine-Russia style attacks like this in any way?
No,
not really.
They've been keeping it in
where
Europe
like
and Asia.
a pro-Russian person attacked some Ukrainian activists.
nope.
You see Putin do some targeted...
No, I'm saying in the United States.
Oh, not
Have there
here.
been like pro-Ukraine people peacefully marching and then a Russia guy is like, Russia, and then attacks them or something?
Nope.
Oh.
Shocker.
It's like that for a lot of other conflicts, too.
Where there's no violence surrounding them?
Where's the Burmese? Where's the Sudanese? Where's the Somali?
Where are the Native Americans? Andrew Jackson's on the 20s.
Where's the peaceful cartel members trying to raise awareness for Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and other narco gangs being outraged over what Trump is doing to them?
It's only Palestine.
That is a joke, by the way. Yeah, it's only ever Israel Palestine.
Yeah.
It's this is why when that Miss Rachel, you know, she made that video where she's like, "What's happening there?" So I'm like, I can't stand these people. Look, I mentioned this last night. There are going to be people who are like, but she's right, Tim. It's a genocide, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care about that. You're allowed to have your issues. Scott Horton is allowed to have his opinions. He's allowed to solely focus on Israel. If that's what he wants to do, I got no beef. None. What I can't stand is there are these people who found foreign policy for the first time in their lives. They have literally no idea what's going on in the world, and they're just gargling word vomit because they saw it on the internet. Dude, these people saw a trend in an algorithm, and now it became their whole world. And I'm like, find some depth in your life.
No, they're going to say no, Tim.
Yeah, I know.
Say no. That's what.
This is why I don't like
Jews
TikTok.
Want me to do.
And it's nothing to it's funny because these people ask me about TikTok. They're like, you want to see TikTok banned, but the only reason that they're banning TikTok is because of Israel. And I'm like, correct. And they're like, you admit it? And I'm like, it's not a secret. Everyone knows they're doing it. It doesn't excuse China from manipulating the algorithms in this country to make people go nuts.
There are multiple things that the government is using anti-Semitism to justify that I would be in favor of, even without the phrase anti-Semitism being attached to it.
I think we need to have a serious conversation in this country about what anti-Semitism actually looks like, and that how the average anti-Semite probably looks a lot closer to this guy than anything else in our country. The average person who overstayed their visa from Egypt or Algeria or Lebanon or Syria is more anti-Semitic and willing to commit violence against Jews than any white supremacist, Pablo, 3%er, dumb bull crap group that doesn't or won't actually do anything against Jews. The average, Arab Muslim overstaying their visa, again, more likely than not agrees with this person than not. And I think that's something that, and is susceptible to commit violence like this, premeditated violence like this, where he planned this for over a year. He waited for his daughter to graduate before committing this crime.
I will say this too before we go to the next story. I do think what makes it challenging, so racism is overplayed by the left every single day. There was a viral video where a woman got a ticket on her bike for blowing a red light, and some white lady cops giving her a ticket, and the woman on the bike is like, "You're just being racist. You're racist." And it's like, no, you blew a red light, lady. You can't blow a red light on a bike. However, people who hate Jews hate Israel as an extension of that, and so it's a Venn diagram overlap between those who are purely anti-Semitic standing alongside people who are anti-Israel, and then this is where you get that overlap.
I don't think people understand the death cult and culture that a lot of these people come from. This guy's going to go back to his hometown and be welcomed as a hero. Yep. He's going to get a hero's welcome and be praised. If he ever goes back, his family might even get a stipend wherever they end up going back. But
let's jump to this story. Let's jump to this next story from the Post Millennial. Tom Homan says U.S. will deal with national security threats for the next 10 years because of Biden's border policies. Quote, "What concerned me the most was they created the biggest national security vulnerability this country has ever seen." He appeared on Fox News. Let's just play the tape.
Tom, let's get your first reaction, your first public comments on this issue out in Colorado.
Me and you have been talking about this for years, Sean. I mean, I worked for the network just before I came back to the second Trump administration. And I've said over and over again, what scares me about the southern border, the sex trafficking, right? Sky high. The Americans dying from fentanyl. The people, all the drugs coming across, all the sex trafficking, all the smuggling. And I said what concerned me the most was they created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. Not only did 2 million known gotaways, 2 million people cross the border, we don't know who they are, where they came from, we don't know where they are now. On top of that, even through the legal process, the Biden administration were bringing people unvetted, handing out work visas like they're candy, while they sat here and planned something bad. We are going to be dealing with this for the next 10 years because of the chaos they created in 4 years. We're out there kicking butt. We're arresting a lot of criminal aliens. We're out there looking for the bad guy. And when we're out there doing that, Sean, we got protesters assaulting ICE officers. We got members of Congress all over the country, going to ICE facilities, raising hell, saying this is their oversight responsibility. Where were those oversight responsibility when 10.5 million illegal aliens came across the border? Where's the oversight responsibility on releasing over 8 million illegal aliens to this country? Where's the oversight responsibility then?
I don't think it's going to be 10 years. I think it's going to be longer. I think 10 million illegal immigrants. We saw Chinese nationals. There are reports about Iranian individuals. There are going to be people here, and their influence and their ideology and their communities. This guy brought his whole family. And so the question is, what happens when the worldview that this guy has, this terrorist, his kids obviously have some form of this. I'm not going to, I mean, what I see happening is this guy gets deported. They're deporting his family. But there are other people that may not be as crazy or extreme, but they will use that influence and that worldview in politics and try to reshape this country because they were allowed to come in here and they have a view that is anti-American. They oppose our interests, our foreign policy, et cetera. I think what Biden did is a permanent strike on this country. Now, we can deal with a lot of the security issues and mitigate a lot of it, but I think there's a permanent damage.
Yes.
To be fair, like maybe permanent's a little hard because I think after a certain period of time, it does get washed away. But 10 years is too short.
Well, not only that, but like when you think of if the next administration doesn't have a serious and sober approach to national security and to border security, it's only going to just restart what it's already done, you know?
Right. And I talked about this in the culture war. Remember, I said, can we just walk into another country? Let's give an example. Oh. If 10 million of us went to the Mexican border and just crossed illegally, you think they're just going to be like, well, we're just going to welcome you with open arms? No, they're going to send the federale and the military and everybody there to round us up.
Every country on earth.
Every single country on earth.
I think the solution here is to overcompensate the other way with an immigration moratorium. If we brought in too many during the Biden administration, we need to bring in too few to make up for that deficit now that we didn't have beforehand.
That still doesn't help us, though.
I think it pushes us in the right direction. It starts. So if we start with another Muslim ban 2.0, but something in that direction, I think that could definitely help mitigate some of the issue. If we deal with blocking the border from Trenta Aragua gangsters and other people in the cartel that the cartel is manipulating with human traffickers and other things like that, I definitely think shutting down and having an actual immigration moratorium for a couple of years, review what's actually going on in our country, could definitely help mitigate the risk from these extremists that we haven't vetted at all. And then, we could let Stephen Miller and Tom Homan go around and allow ICE to really pick up the worst of the worst and make their way down the list.
Well, the issue with that is we're going to have to get through the sanctuary cities. And of course, that's where everybody's going to flee right now.
Yeah, I think some of them are dropping. Some of the sanctuary cities, I think, are dropping like flies. I think there was one. I think Philadelphia said they were no longer standing by their sanctuary city policies, if I'm not mistaken.
The Trump admin put out a list of sanctuary cities that Trump said were engaged in insurrection. And the reason he did that is because that's the qualification for invoking the Insurrection Act. If law enforcement is not being handled at the local level, the president has the authority to call in the National Guard to enforce local laws. That's the Insurrection Act. And so they published this list, took it down. Some sheriffs got mad saying, hey, we're trying to work with you on this one. We'll see where this goes, but it does look like the Trump admin is gearing up to send a National Guard to mass deport. I think they're serious about it. I've heard a lot of people say, at this pace, it ain't getting done. Stephen Miller was saying we need 3,000 per day or more. Yep. Liberals are claiming Biden was deporting more people under Trump. I don't think that's correct. See, the difference is, under Obama, these are turnarounds. They'd stop people at the border, turn them around. They called it a deportation. Under Trump, they're actually going to immigration courts, waiting in the hallways. And when a guy goes in for his hearing and they get denied, they walk out and immediately get placed in cuffs, deported.
Good.
That's something we've not seen from other administrations. And the deporting of a guy's entire family after he committed a terror attack, something we've not seen from the other administrations.
And to quickly respond to the sanctuary city stuff, I'm reading a headline right now from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Philadelphia says it's a welcoming city, not a sanctuary city, as the Trump administration threatens funding cuts. So I think that's really the direction the administration is willing to go with every city. And that's how they will affect change with their immigration policy. They are going to, Stephen Miller And the other people at, I believe it was American First Policy Institute, have been studying the ways to do this for years. And now they are effectuating that change in the administration all the ways that they see fit.
So they think that just changing a word or two is just going to make a difference. I mean, this
Well,
is
going
what they do
back
all the time.
and using different laws, for example, the Alien Act and threatening fundings at least worked in Philadelphia. So
Just changing a word or two does change what it is, because it legally it changes.
you don't need to change the word, change the interpretation. I mean, you don't even need to change the word.
That is true.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think I said this earlier, but Stephen Miller was talking about how badly they need to increase the amount of deportations, and I think that that's something that the American people still want, even though you see videos of people yelling at ICE. I saw a bunch of those over the weekend. People are out there in the streets
Throwing
and
stuff.
Yeah, they're making an issue, and there's someone that's complaining because ICE agents are wearing masks and stuff. So that's going on, and you see them ramping up. But I think that still there's going to need to be more, like a significant amount more. And if they can even start delivering part of it, again, all the black pillars that are like, they haven't done anything, they haven't arrested anyone, blah, 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 blah. This is another kind of, white pill to them. It's like, look, they actually are really ramping up and being fairly
Aren't they
militant
over
about it.
100K already? I believe the last number was like 100.
20 million's a lot, man.
It really is. But I mean,
Pump those numbers up.
Right. 20 million's a lot.
Well,
So-
are we tracking self-deportations?
I don't know, but
Not yet.
But even if even if we're not, or we were, like, you still have so many people. Like, I can't imagine 1 million or 2 million people actually left in the past 6 months that out of self-deportation. You can apply that kind of pressure. I believe they can, especially if you start arresting business owners. But as of right now, I don't think that there's been that many.
You know, I was thinking, this kind of scary thought. What does it mean to have political power? Right now, you've got the Trump administration and ICE actively trying to deport people because Americans still hold dominant political power in this country. But we are dangerously close to not having that.
Yeah.
When enough illegal immigrants are operating in this country that they can sway at least half of the political factions of this country, then you will not have the political will to deport anybody. And then you, as sovereign advocates of this nation, or advocates of a sovereign nation, it's over. So I was just thinking, like, Democrats would not be doing this. They would not do this. And we are only a few percentage points in the election away from losing the authority of those who believe in a sovereign United States. That's actually pretty terrifying.
Yeah. It's incredibly important that, like, we don't lose the House and we pick up seats in the House and the Senate. Like, it's incredibly important, and history is against us. The party in power regularly loses seats, and there's also the possibility that we don't actually get the economy going enough to start eating away at the cost of living and stuff. So,
I mean, at the rate that we're going now, I was just talking about the 100K. If you're able to get that number to somewhere near maybe 1 million, 1.5, but you do them in very select locations, I mean, there's a possibility that you can pick up even 1 or 2 seats.
I got it. Trump should rent out an entire Costco, right? And then put a big sign over the door saying free citizenship. And when everybody comes in, you got them. And then he can deport like 100,000 people just like that.
I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Free citizenship, and it's right this way, and then people coming in and
Free citizenship back to the country. You're a citizen.
back to your home.
You already got it. We don't need to get
Didn't
nothing.
read
Get
the
out of here.
fine print,
Free
sir.
citizenship that you already have from your home country.
That's right.
Let's jump to this next story from the New York Post. Vast majority of Americans don't see Dems as a party with strong leaders that get stuff done. CNN poll. This is amazing. Check this out. CNN actually lost their mind over this when Harry Enton was going over this. They say that when asked which party has strong leaders, 40% of American adults said Republicans, 16% said Democrats, 43% said neither. Asked which party can get things done, 19% said Democrats, 36% said Republicans, 44% said neither. The Democratic Party is currently having top secret missions. These people are permanent children. They are mentally unstable and unwell. They are not normal, And so call them whatever you want: histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic, all those personality disorders. They got this story about Project Searchlight, Project Wildflower, Project Sam. Democrats don't just have meetings where they sit down like, hey guys, let's go grab a cup of coffee and talk about strategy. They say, we're going to go to a resort, spend $20 million on a project name. Give it a code name, show up, and then lament to each other as wealthy lunatics why they can't communicate with regular Americans. They need people. They're hiring. I'm going to pause. Guys, I just figured it out. I'm going to start a consulting firm for Democrats because they're paying millions of dollars for people to tell them exactly what I'm saying right now. Why am I giving it away for free?
Look,
they're holding meetings to have people tell them, I'm not kidding, to dump the woke ideology. Like, they couldn't just listen to someone like me who donated the max to like 2 or 3 Democrats in 2020. They're like, no, it's because Tim Pool's secretly right wing. What about Joe Rogan? Nah, he's far right as well. Let's hire a consultant for $20 million to tell us what's going on. And he goes, yeah, woke is ridiculous. You got to get rid of it.
You've got people like Richie Torres that are, I think he's a congressman, that are, you know, a legitimate voice that are saying, look, if the Democrats want to actually be viable again, we have to dump this woke stuff. And, you know, he's getting attention. But as of right now, there's not a lot of you know, proper motion in the Democrat Party. David Hogg is not the kind of dude that is going to be a leader. There's ethics stuff with him, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen a political party so lost in my entire life.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, look at this, like 16%. That's just absolutely wild. 16% said that Democrats had strong leaders. That's a fact statement. And that 84% of people who saw that, they get it. There's no Democrats.
No.
You got people like Gavin Newsom going on Bill Maher trying to seem like, you know, push himself or shift himself to more of a centrist point of view, as if like we haven't seen the last 20 years of his career.
They're grifters. They don't have any consistent ideology. And so this is what's lost. You know, I'll put it this way. The reason why Gavin Newsom isn't going to succeed is not because we can see the past. It's not because we know he's a grifter. The fact that he was so callow and spineless when he was governor is why. He bent the knee to woke ideology nonsense. He said, tell me what to say and I'll say it. Now that he's coming around and saying, well, you know, I'm being a bit more moderate. It's like, bro, we don't care what you're claiming now. The reality is some people may be swayed by it, but the reason he's doing is all around as a person, he is a weak person. That means even if he came out in public and said, I am changing my mind and rebranding and I want to be moderate, we'd be like, okay, that's fine. You're a weak person who can't win elections. I get it. He won governor, but I don't see this guy going to the national level. He's like a kind of feels like a B list. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that X factor. He's not a top tier guy. The fact that he was willing to just say whatever Democrats want him to say proves it.
You couldn't even beat Ron DeSantis. What makes him think he can go on a national level? I mean, Ron came in what, 3rd on the national scale?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason is because the Democrats have so few options. Like, you've got at least a decade or maybe 15 years of Gavin Newsom being the mayor of San Francisco and then going on to governor, where he said, we're going to fix the homeless problem. We're going to fix the homeless problem. We're going to fix the homeless problem. Multiple times, multiple different venues, says it all the time. And they still have yet to actually fix the homeless problem. The amount of history that he has in California and the bad things that have happened while he's the governor or the mayor of San Francisco, all those things are just ripe for the Republicans to tear him apart. I don't see how he actually would be viable beyond being able to raise money, because people like to give him money because of that smile.
I think the differences between the left and liberals within the Democrat Party are irreconcilable, and it would behoove Republicans to continue to exploit that divide. And I think they'll be able to win a handful of elections moving forward if they continue to do so. I think the left in the Democrat Party has like a hard cap at 30%, but then the other people in the party won't swallow a pill like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez long term. So like, I think she could win a primary, but then lose hard in a general election. And I think the Republicans could make the situation such that, you know, that they're going against these types of people.
I don't think ideology matters as much. It certainly does, because woke is broke. But my point is that AOC, Newsom, some of the top names they got, They are weak people. Now, don't get me wrong. They're stronger than average. Gavin Newsom, obviously, you won a governorship. Congratulations. I'm saying for the presidency, Donald Trump walks on stage at a rally and imitates a politician body slamming a journalist. He is a strong man. That's why Democrats were screaming he's a fascist. And Republicans are like, I'm on the schoolyard. I want the bully to be in my corner. I want him standing in front of me, protecting me from everybody else and guaranteeing what I want. I don't want to be against the bully. So I see Gavin Newsom. You look at his brand. Let me just say it again like this. A smarmy, wishy-washy guy who flip-flops to try and attract voters comes off as spineless and weak. Donald Trump says whatever Donald Trump keeps defending Operation Warp Speed even when he gets booed. He's like, well, you may not like it, but whatever. Look at him when he's at the Libertarian Convention. And he was like, oh, you don't want to vote for me? Then lose. Take your 3%. It's hilarious.
Great.
Oh, and just to answer your
So
question.
true. Donald Trump telling how it is the Libertarian.
Yeah, and just to answer your question,
Take your
Phil,
3%.
Phil, about Gavin Newsom and talking about the homelessness. I'm looking at Chat GPT right here. In the last 20 years, California spent $2.8 billion on homelessness. Where is all of that money?
Train to nowhere.
Where is
Oh, yeah, the trend.
You know, they've spent billions of dollars on this thing and have 0% of it built, or maybe 0.1%. I think there's like one section, like to mark where it's going to start or something. This done nothing with it.
This is how you end up with authoritarianism or an emperor. This is how a republic falls to an empire, to an emperor. Because people in California are going to get to the point where they're just like, how come we can't build a train? What has happened to this country where we literally say, let's build a train? They can't do it. Trump's going to come in, or something's going to happen where some guy says, vote for me, give me the power, and I'll just do it, and I'll ignore everybody else. And they're going to vote for a strongman, and then they're going to say, in order to build this, we need permits and laws passed. And he's like, nope, don't care. And he's going to send in teams, start building, and they're going to be like, you can't do that, though there's laws in place. And he's going to be like, sue me. This is what happens. People get fed up with broken systems, and they just say, do it anyway.
That's what the Democrats do anyway, right?
Yeah.
To further exemplify that point, it's not only on the federal level where Democrats massively screw things up, even on the state level where they're in total power, they manage to screw things up. So in states like California and New York, you can't build, you can't afford a house, rental prices are out of control. And why? Because you can't build anything in any of these states because of the different environmental laws or regulations, and everything becomes so burdensome to build in any of these states as opposed to any of these red states. So they don't manage their own states well. New York's in a bunch of debt. I'm sure the situation in California is also horrendous. Their management of resources, I believe there's a huge water crisis now going on in California that's been ongoing for some time. So the Democrats don't manage the states that they have total power in well at all. So, on the federal level, people have no faith in them. On the state level, they don't even have faith in them. So I could see why people have such low faith, as these polls were showing.
Like, I mean, we started talking about how bereft of leadership the Democrat Party is. And it's because it's all either old people or people that don't have a realistic view on what the government can do. And I think that Gavin Newsom is, for as long as he's been in California government, I think that he exemplifies that. He responds to what he believes the Democrats want, as opposed to things that are actually going to be good for California. So, I mean, I don't know that they're going to be able to find anyone better. I mean, Pritzker, I don't know that he's going to be, I think that he's too big. I think he's too fat. I think he's a fat guy, and I think people won't elect a fat guy like that.
I think, isn't AOC the clear end? Like, isn't that the clear direction the Democrats are going in?
I mean, maybe, but Tim doesn't think that a woman would actually win. I think that she could get the primary, though.
A woman will win when both parties put up a woman, and people have no choice.
When it's Nikki Haley versus AOC.
So I was watching this. I was watching
2036.
I was watching this video today on Google's Gemini glasses or whatever. There's this young Asian woman, and she's wearing glasses, and she's like, she looks at a bookshelf, then turns away and says, "Okay, I didn't see what that book said, but maybe Gemini did." And then she goes, "Gemini, can you tell me what the white book was called?" And then this AI voice AI voice comes on, and it's a woman who says the white book was titled this, that, or otherwise. The AI voice had vocal fry. And I mean, it was like, I hate Google. And I was like, why are they doing a presentation where their AI voice is using vocal fry, where they talk like this? Like, why would it do that?
I don't know.
Because for one, it wasn't really an AI.
Oh, okay.
I'd assume it was just a woman reading a script they were claiming was AI. Or they trained their AI to do vocal fry. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't notice vocal fry. It is common among prominent women in media. They try and, for whatever reason, but it's off-putting to a lot of other people who notice it right away. So this young woman who was introducing it was not using vocal fry, which gives her a higher pitched voice. It's her natural register. But there are a lot of women that try and talk with a lower register, so they push their voice down and they'll talk like this. And it goes real low and you hear that rasp. And a lot of people are annoyed by that. This is why I think AOC and many women cannot win. And the left should agree with me on this one. Inherent sexism, call it whatever you want. Some people said, yeah, but what about Margaret Thatcher? Why? Because in a parliamentary system, you vote for the party, not the person. So you're voting for a party and then they put a woman. But for a presidential system, you think, like, let me ask you guys honestly, how tall is AOC? 5'4"?
She's short, something like that.
5'4". So Kamala Harris on the presidential debates asked for a smaller podium so that on camera, relative to her body size, she didn't look tiny. Here's another example. Every time I meet somebody, they say like, oh, wow, you're a lot taller than I realized. Because our cameras are positioned above head length, whereas most shows like Fox News, for instance, they do what's called blocking. So our table is, we're all sitting around the table. If we were going to do blocking like cable TV, we'd all sit on one side of the table, and then the cameras would be at chest height. What ends up happening is those that are watching the video, they will see as though they are 5.5 feet tall. So like in movies, for instance, this is what they do. The cameras are always held at chest height. So women who are 5'2" look pretty big on the screen. They look like they actually fill up the entire screen. And then you see them in person, you're like, wow, they're tiny. This is what was going on with Kamala Harris. She wanted a smaller podium so that relative to her body size, she looks big on the podium because Trump is very large. People vote based on height. People vote based on depth of voice. AOC, when she went to that rally, it's the perfect example where she was hooting and shaking her fist and she was going, let's go, yeah. I'm like, let's talk about Nixon and Kennedy, where everybody said...
I was just about to say that, too.
On radio versus TV. On TV, everybody said Kennedy won because Nixon was all sweaty and disheveled looking. On radio, everyone said Nixon won because they couldn't see it. Now what happens when AOC and Trump are on podcasts or radio and people are just listening and they're not watching, and they hear, well, I'm going to tell you why we want to run this, versus, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch him in the face, hard and strong. People don't understand these subtleties. They don't believe in them. And it's fascinating to me because if it were not correct, Coca-Cola would not be spending billions of dollars on market research every year to figure out the perfect way to sell you something. All of these major ad campaigns craft the perfect way to sell things. And I'll tell you this too. There'd be no political consultants telling people to wear colored ties, saying you got to wear a blue colored tie with these stripes. Now look, sitting here in front of you guys, AOC versus me arguing over what we should order for food, probably not going to be much of a difference because it's 6-7 people. She's going to say, I think we should be doing this, that, or otherwise. And it's going to be like, pizza does sound pretty good. And I'm going to say, well, I kind of would like hot dogs. And then the whole internet erupts with conspiracy theories over us choosing to order Chicago-style food. Besides the point. However, when you're dealing with 100 million voters, a 0.01% fractional change can swing the entire election. So while we don't care personally, and these liberals might be like, who cares if AOC's got a high-pitched voice? If 0.01% of people do, she loses.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Because they don't have much room, especially after this last election.
They have no room.
They're literally as lost of a political party as I've ever seen. They have no leader. Their actual platform has a significant number of very, very unpopular positions, and they don't have the ability to kind of moderate on those positions because the extremists are the ones that are the activists, and they tend to be
Well, not just that, but also the establishment that's been in charge for so many years. They didn't go to the bench and start developing other talent, right? They've been in charge for so long. I mean, look at how long Pelosi's been there and Maxine Waters and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure the level of AAA that they have down there for Congress people. I'm sure
I mean,
there's
you're probably
some,
right.
Let's jump to this next story. We got this one from Unilad. AI startup valued at $1.5 billion collapses after it's found to actually be 700 engineers pretending to be bots. The engineers were largely from India. So I hear, they say, tech pros have been left gobsmacked after learning a $1.5 billion AI business, Builder.ai, has been operating behind an AI facade. Since 2016, the British company emerged on the scene as a pioneering platform allowing businesses to create applications with minimal coding. But now it's been revealed the code actually came from around 700 human developers and programmers from India who were tasked with acting like an AI bot. Imagine you're on ChatGPT and there's actually just like a bunch of dudes in California just typing away.
bunch of guys in Ralph.
So to correct myself from earlier, it wasn't a Microsoft company. It was a Builder AI had made partnerships with Microsoft and had secured a $250 million investment from Qatar Investment Authority, reports International Business Times. In total, it accumulated more than $450 million in funding from leading investors like Microsoft and the World Bank's IFC, among others. Okay, so Microsoft was an investor. Yet Builder AI filed for bankruptcy protection and entered insolvency proceedings as per its statement on LinkedIn last month. According to Bloomberg, the company plummeted after a major lender, Viola Credit, which had given the company a $50 million loan, withdrew $37 million from its accounts and left Builder with just $5 million. The move essentially paralyzed the company from fulfilling payroll duties or maintaining its core operations. This is amazing. I wonder how many other companies are doing things like this. I've heard similar stories that you think you're talking to chatbots and it's just some dude in India. And these were jokes at first. But now it's real.
This has some FTX vibes to it, almost.
Yeah. Did you guys see that AI tool that removes accents from people?
No.
You mentioned it.
Yeah, so like Indian call centers, when they sound like this, when they turn on the AI, they sound like this. And then people don't know they're talking to, like Maurice or something. It's Maurice.
So I think there are a lot of practical, real-world uses for AI. However, I am a non-believer writ large at all of the promises we are made about AI. So I think we are going to see companies like this and adjacent companies who use related technologies crash. I think we're in a huge bubble. We're being sold a false bill of goods with AI. Oh, it's going to transform the world and everything's going to change and we're going to get all of your jobs are going to be gone and whatnot. I'm not yet a believer in all of this. With the amount that I've seen the stock market go up based on different AI hype, I don't think the jump in stock is justified by any of this back end stuff. And I believe we are in a huge bubble. People are dropping billions of dollars into this. I believe Donald Trump recently, he took a trip to the Middle East where they also promised like $1 billion some odd dollars in AI. Everybody and their mother is dumping their money into this. It's hard to see how it isn't overvalued, at least at this state. And if anybody,
it's a weapons race. And so even if it is, like here's the crazy thing, guys, this is where the money's at. You're doing a startup, just put AI in front of whatever it is you're doing and you'll get $1 billion. I'm half kidding, but it's so valuable and the fear is so real that they literally had 700 Indian people typing away, pretending to be AI chatbots, and they were able to generate hundreds of millions in investment.
If you incorporated any aspect of AI into this show, wrote about it in the description, and then try to sell the company, you'd be able to quadruple your more.
So hold on, guys, brainstorm. Let's go to some investors and say, we have an AI-powered podcast generator that can help you craft any podcast so long as it's voiced by some like late 30s to middle-aged men with only 4 distinct voices, and we'll make a podcast on anything. AI.
This is AI right now. You think I'm a real person? You think this obnoxious Jewish person exists in real life? No, it's a character made out of the internet's, typed in prompt.
Well, what we did was
annoying Jewish journalist and.
We cast on Craigslist looking for an annoying Jewish guy, And then Elad answered. We put him in one of those 3D body scanners, and then we had him read "How now, brown cow" and "Unique New York," among other sentences. And now we just AI generate Elad.
There are sites out there that do this for a living. Like I actually just tried one the other day, and I'm waiting for my results to come back to see how my voice works with the AI. I'm gonna have to
Check this out. Let me play this. Let me play this video.
Hello, my name is Manoj and I'm a call center agent from India. Clear communication is vital for my customers and me, but accent barriers can sometimes make it challenging. That's where crisp accent conversion comes in. Let me show you
I hate this
the
so
voice
much.
preservation mode in action.
Just listen.
This mode keeps my original voice intact while softening challenging parts of my accent. It helps customers understand me better, improving satisfaction on both sides of the call.
I can still hear the
I'd,
Indian.
yeah,
I
I'd
can
still be
still hear
freaked
it.
out though.
But he didn't say get rid of. He said softens. Softens.
Honestly, that's preferable, to be honest with you. If you're trying to do something or understand someone, yeah, that is preferable.
I don't mind Indian call centers to a certain degree, because if it's like 2 a.m. and my card's not working, like what am I going to do? Like wake somebody up? No. There's a guy in India where it's the middle of the day and he answers the phone. I mean, it's not to be a dick, but I can't understand what he's saying, but at least he unlocks my card for me.
Yeah. But like I said, I think that I would rather have AI soften someone's accent as opposed to being like, oh, I can't understand them. I can't do what it is that I'm trying to do.
But I'd be
To be
kind of
honest, I'd rather just talk to a functional modern AI than a call center person who can't understand what I'm saying. Like, dude, and a lot of people agree. Like, I'm half kidding about they're awake at 2 a.m. and they can fix my card for me, but I have been on the call enough times with people who can't speak English very well, and we struggle to communicate because, first of all, like the quality of a phone call is not very good, just right off the bat. Then you've got accents on top, and we're trying to do the what is it? What is the alphabet called when you Foxtrot, Echo? What is that called?
Oh, phonetic alphabet.
Phonetic alphabet. It's like I'm on the phone and they're like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Tango." What's I?
India.
See, I don't even know.
Tango, India, Mike. But look, man, that's.
I would rather an AI, a modern AI. Now, the reason I don't like the old school AIs, okay, I you know what I do? I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. I've exposed this secret before. There is but one word you need to say if you ever get a robot to get a human. Earmuffs for your kids.
Oh,
Fuck. Oh. I just do that. I'll just be on the phone, and I'll call like service or whatever, and it'll go, "Hey there, I'm your customer service rep. How can I help you today?" And I go, "Fuck," and it goes, "It sounds like you're having trouble. Let me connect you with an agent." And I'm like, "Yep."
It's perfect.
Yeah, because the problem is those versions of the AI are limited in what they can do. Modern AI should actually be able to understand you better. So it's annoying when like you have an issue with your credit card that's not specific. Like they'll say, if you're dealing with fraud, press 1. If you're dealing with this, press 2. And you're like, okay, well, it's kind of a weird thing. My card got rejected. I'm trying to figure out why. I don't even know what I'm supposed to go to. And then the annoying thing is you're like, card declined. It's like, sounds like your card was declined. Let me connect you to an agent. Then you get an agent and she's like, what happened? And you're like, my card's declined. Oh, that's a different department. Let me transfer you.
Oh, God.
Right. So just give me a modern functioning AI that can do it all. And I'm good with it.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm just not so sure that there are AI that are capable of actually helping nowadays. Even still,
let me tell you, I think so. ChatGPT has gotten crazy. So we checked out the skate park at Charlestown, and there were a bunch of these weird little black bugs with white spots on their backs, and they were running around all crazy, and we couldn't tell what they were. I took a picture, uploaded to ChatGPT, and said, "What is this?" It said they're lanternfly nymphs.
Yeah.
Those nasty invasive bugs. And I was like, wow. I was driving today to go get dinner, and we saw one of those big industrial silo facilities with a conveyor belt. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Took a picture, uploaded, and said, what is this? Not only did it tell me what it was, it told me where it was and the name of the company and what they did in great detail. That's crazy. I mean, kind of terrifying.
my wife does that when she goes on hikes with the kids, right? And she goes out and takes pictures of plants, and there's an actual app out there.
Yeah.
It's called Picture This.
Picture this, exactly. And you could take a picture of the plant, it'll tell you if what it is, whether it's dangerous or not, and if you do happen to come in contact with a dangerous plant, what you can do to help yourself.
But ChatGPT is crazier than that now. So here's I love picture this. I've had it for a while because we got a bunch of weird fruits growing all over the place. And so I walk up to a plant and I see a red thing on it. You take a picture, you upload it, and it'll say, that is a whatever plant. And then you scroll down and you're looking for if the fruit is edible or not. It's not there. Sometimes they have the information, sometimes they don't. So like we have frost grapes everywhere and it'll be like, this is a frost grape. And like, they're edible and you can eat them. Then there's warnings like too much of this is bad. But sometimes there will be like seed heads on certain plants or fruits and it doesn't tell me. ChatGPT literally does everything. And now here's the crazy thing. I can take a picture of a building in a random location and it'll tell me where it is. So we were on the highway and it's all fields. And there's this big, massive structure with a silo and a conveyor belt going up to it. And you see them from time to time when you're driving around. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is it like corn? Is it grain or something? Picture, upload to ChatGPT. What is this? It explained it was likely a concrete factory or asphalt based on its shape and size and everything. And then I said, here's the location. And it was like, this is this company, founded in this time, at this point, with this many employees. Everything was in it. It just knew it all.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff is mundane nowadays, that kind of access to information, which is, it's crazy to think about it. But, you know, we are living in a world where where there are multiple cars that can do the driving for you now.
Now, here's what's crazy. I took a picture of one of our buddies, who's a prominent pro skater. I uploaded it and said, who is this? And it said, I cannot identify people. You know it actually can. And in this instance, my homie who I took, it was Cody Mack. I took a picture of Cody Mack. He's a famous pro skateboarder. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Like, this dude's pictures all over the internet. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers. If you Google search him and you can look up all of his career, his videos, his contest rankings, he's not a secret guy. ChatGPT is just choosing not to identify people for privacy reasons. But you know that means OpenAI knows where you are, when you're there, what you're doing. So does Facebook, so does Google. That's where it's getting really crazy. That these companies built this technology and they have a weaponized version behind the scenes that you don't get access to. I bet they can tell by the way you walk who you are. I bet if you put on a mask, put on a mask and a trench coat and started walking, it would be like, here's who this is. Based on you, it's going to know your height.
Your gait.
It's going to be like, I know who that is.
I have a friend that works in like the defense industry, and he's like, look, man, they can already like literally just attach something to the pipes that have your water in it, and they can listen to what's going on inside a room by stuff like that. I don't know how true that is. This is,
I believe it.
He said
Why even need to? They could probably just tap your phone, like Pegasus their way into your...
Right,
yeah,
it's
or
easier.
you can shoot a laser onto someone. If you shoot a laser on the window, you can actually... the window moves enough, you can hear the vibrations inside. You can hear people talking. So
that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, that's been around for a long time.
Is that the same way that when you have the cans and the string?
Yeah,
across from your.
Well, it's literally like a speaker. You know, the glass moves, you know, fractions of an inch, but.
When you can look it up right now. I got the Wikipedia for it because this is kind of hard to believe. It's called a laser microphone. Check this out. A surveillance device uses a laser beam to detect sound vibrations in a distant object. It's since 1947. The Soviets had it. You point the laser at glass. It's infrared laser. You can't even see it, and it's picking up the vibrations on the glass, and it can transcribe it into sound for someone to listen to. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
So they do have stuff where you can listen to the sound of someone's step, and they can figure out someone's gait, and they can follow people, you know, via that type of audio monitoring and stuff. It's crazy the stuff they can do. Like the Dark Knight was far-fetched back, like whatever 2008 or whatever. I'm pretty sure they can do that nowadays. Like the cell phones, kind of just mapping the whole inside of a building and stuff, or in that case, the whole city. I think that's actually possible now.
That's crazy. Let's jump to this story. Get a little cultural. MrBeast says he's broke. MrBeast claims he has very little money and asked his mom to pay for his wedding. He's lying.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
MrBeast said online that he has very little money despite his high net worth. He admitted that he had to ask his mom to help pay for his wedding. He claimed it was because he reinvests everything. Despite being reportedly worth an estimated $1 billion, he claims he has very little money. Responding to a post on X, which described Mr. Beast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, as the only billionaire under 30 to have not inherited his wealth. The YouTube star with more than 400 million subscribers responded late on Sunday, quote, actually, I'll just show you. I think it's that right here. I personally have very little money because I reinvest everything. I think this year we'll spend around $250 million on content. Ironically, I'm actually borrowing money from my mom to pay for my upcoming wedding, LOL. But sure, on paper, the businesses I own are worth a lot. It's kind of funny, like, by what qualification can he call himself a billionaire? I think what a lot of people need to understand, and this one matters as it pertains to taxes and how the left views things, is, for one, I'm going to say this real quick. He's lying. He has a lot of money, and reinvest is clever. It's not legit. But anyway, I digress. What does it mean that he's a billionaire? Who determined that he's worth $1 billion? For Bezos, for Elon Musk, all of this stuff is just basically someone declares it to be true.
By what qualification is he broke? Let's start from that end, right?
Well, he said he has very little. He didn't say broke. He said very little money. But here's the trick, right? When you post a picture of yourself standing from a private jet holding, I don't know, several $100, maybe $1,000, maybe that jet's not his. Maybe this is fake influencer shenanigans. The other thing is he doesn't need to reinvest. And when he reinvests, which includes buying himself a private jet, come on, you're not broke.
So maybe he goes into debt when he's spending a ton of money on a video, but then as soon as the video production comes out, I'm sure the ads he runs are hundreds of thousands of dollars. The ad placement's probably on his videos, let alone other sponsorship deals, let alone his chocolate company that he owns or other candy that he sells. So maybe if you're doing some funny math,
food joint that he owns,
and the fast food joint, if you're doing funny accounting, I'm sure he's broke at the moment until the next video drops, and then he makes a ton of money, and then he has money until he spends it all, then he's broke all of a sudden. So it's like, I'm broke until I get my next paycheck,
or he's doing a $40 million wedding.
Sure.
I need my mom to pay for my wedding because it's $40 million. In
front of the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, something like that.
But how many? Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
Yeah, but how many supercars has he destroyed in each of his videos, right? Because if you look back, I mean, it's at least 10 or 15 videos I've seen where he's had Bugattis, he's got Lamborghinis, he's got all of these different cars that he destroys, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't pay for them all. I'm pretty sure I was talking to Kellen about this earlier. It's like when you're trying to promote something, or when someone's trying to promote something, or trying to see if it can survive certain climates or whatnot, or certain things, they'll lend them one just to destroy, just to see what happens, right?
I think all things considered, though, I think Mr. Beast does live relatively modestly compared to how other people in his position would. This picture that you pulled up, he was posting it ironically, trying to look like, I don't know.
It was
Vanilla Ice.
It was a gag.
Yeah, he posted
I don't like
this ironically.
I don't like Mr. Beast.
That's more of the Mr. Beast you'd see. He kind of reminds me of like a, I don't know, white t-shirt and sweater vibe. Like he's clearly not he's not trying to flex too hard, and I think that's why his other post was ironic. I
think it's great when he tries to help people. He was talking about before about when he does the social good videos, he makes the least amount of money. But I can't stand that he got big off of having poor people claw each other's faces off for $100,000. You know what I mean? It's so merciless.
One step above bum fights.
It is, seriously. Man, that's crazy. Now, what I will say is this. People probably think he makes more money than he does. So let's say he does a video. Actually, let me just pull up Mr. Beast on YouTube and take a look at one of his latest videos, and we'll take a look at I'll give you guys I'll give you the breakdown on numbers. I know all the numbers, right? How much money does he make? Things like that. So 10 days ago, let's grab this here. 10 days ago, he got 100 million views. So I think he may have gotten off that video. Let me do some math. In YouTube view revenue, maybe about $1 million off one video. Maybe more.
But then the sponsorships.
There's a cap.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm
Absolutely.
sure Mr. Beast is a one-of-one type, of content creator on the platform, though.
Most of your money in these sponsorship deals are going to come from direct sales. So a YouTube video that gets 100,000 views on YouTube might bring in between $500 and maybe $2,000, depending on how long it is. But let's just say we're talking like a 10-minute, 15-minute video, 100,000 views, average CPM might be $500 to $1,000. That means that if he's doing 100 million, he might be hitting around, 500,000 to $1 million. But when you do direct sales, you hit on average like a $20 CPM. He can probably sell at a premium, but there's going to be an upper limit. So if you get 1 million views on a show, you should be able to get maybe like $20,000 for one read. Some of the biggest podcasts that are getting like 3-4 million will sell for like 50 grand for a single ad read. But now ask yourself, which companies can afford to spend more than that on a single ad read? Not very many. So when MrBeast is doing ad sales for sponsorships, the companies are probably going, we can't afford $3 million for an ad read. I mean, you have 100 million views. We're not going to give you $2 million for one ad read. We can't do it. Some companies can. So there's going to be an upper limit to how many views he get, how much money he can get off of each view. So he's probably making millions per video. It's probably not as much as people think because it's a diminishing return the more views you get.
What do you think of people who call him like the modern day game show host, like our generation's game show host type character?
Well, yeah. I mean, he is. But, I'm not a fan. It's not personal. I explored a 2,000-year-old ancient temple. I'm just generally not a fan of this type of I don't know, man. He went inside the pyramids because he's rich and was able to do it. Something that people go to prison for life for or can get executed for. Actually, I don't know if they execute you. I think there might be something like that. If you damage the pyramids, you might get the death penalty in Egypt. So, but he's super rich. He can just buy his way in and do all these things. Would you risk drowning for $500,000?
That's kind of crazy.
Not really a fan of any of it. Like some of these stories, man, are merciless. I was watching one video and it's like somebody is like, my mom's really sick and this $10,000 can, get her help pay for her kidney treatment. He's like, well, I hope you win. And you got to swim through a puddle, through a field of piss. And if you succeed, maybe your mom will live.
It's funny because my complaint about MrBeast is that I think the videos are actually kind of soft because I grew up in the Fear Factor era with Joe Rogan of eat cow balls or some shit and still lose. I
gotta be honest. Like those are called Rocky Mountain oysters. And I never understood Fear Factor except for what got the show canceled. But it was like, Fear Factor today, you've got to eat pig intestines. And I was like, I had pig intestine tacos last week. The Mexican restaurant made them.
Chitlins?
Yeah.
But I guess my point is he's a poor man's
Factor.
Joe Rogan. He does a worse job than Joe Rogan did on Fear Factor.
I'm saying it's like Fear Factor was, in order to win, you have to eat food. And I was like, okay. Like they made someone eat an eyeball, and I'm like, people eat eyeballs. Like... It's weird to me that people were like, oh no, this part of an animal that is totally edible and safe to eat. I'm grossed out by it. It's like, okay, I guess.
We were fascinated by the balls part, I think. That's
the Rocky Mountain oysters. They call them Rocky Mountain oysters.
It was just like this animal balls. This animal ball. I mean.
You were fascinated.
Now, what got the show canceled, right?
No.
We want to be family friendly, but let's just say this. A guy, they told people they had to drink like a pint of animal emissions. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean.
Oof.
And the network was like, whoa, what are we doing here? Yeah, not okay. I like a lot of what he does. It's just that some of these things where it's like making people do this denigrating and humiliating thing because they're so desperate for money is just so awful.
Yeah, it's throwing money at people who are desperate for it. Makes good content, but I mean, we all love to see poor people have a chance at some money. I think there's also a gross thrill of seeing them struggle for it, right? Like they need money and here's the opportunity and it's like the emotion and like, oh, you really need this money. Oh, you're about to get it. Oh, wait, no, this other person who really needed it actually rolled the right number or did the right thing. And
that is kind of gross.
Yeah, but yet my son loves it, watches like every single episode. So it's like,
I mean,
where do I go from here?
What I will say too is the secret of social media is YouTube decides if you will be rich. That's it. That's seriously all it is.
That's miserable.
But that's the reality. YouTube they can put pressure on the algorithm so that your videos stop coming up and then you slowly just disappear. And people go, I used to watch you a lot. I don't know what happened. YouTube stopped telling people to watch you.
Tim, have you considered airbrushing your thumbnails like he does? Look at his face throughout them. Like they almost feel AI generated, or I'm sure just very drudged through.
He probably He probably doesn't. So I would imagine what they do for these images is they pull stills from various clips. They don't need to actually have him do it. It's a waste of time for MrBeast to actually go and take a picture of his face.
These almost don't look real. I'm looking at the $100 million car face. They look fake. All of these faces look.
It actually is pretty uncanny valley, isn't it?
It's something's or heavily airbrushed.
It's animation. It's like their drawings.
I got to be honest. Like, he's a talented guy. He's a smart guy. He's a hardworking guy, and he does make really great shows. But there's no reason functionally why he should be getting 100 million views per video, other than YouTube is just like, it's safe family content that works.
Like kids
put it on the front page,
right?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, my son literally will watch it. I have to go in his room at 11 o'clock at night and steal his tablet because
get out of here.
He's watching it.
Well, you do have to give credit to him. At least he stopped platforming, I believe, one of the transgender regulars on his show.
Oh, really?
That dude's gone.
It's not. He is not regularly on the MrBeast episodes that I've seen recently.
That's honestly good, personally. That's what I, or at least
maybe a token appearance here or there, but definitely not as big of a feature as
not walking around.
I forgot the name.
Dressed
of the
like
person.
a woman.
It is so wild how like there's so much of this content where people will go out and just give money and they stage. Oh man, so much of the internet is fake. Everybody knows it, but it's remarkable how fake it is. There's tons of videos that are popping up that try to be like MrBeast, where people give big tips and it's fake. And you can tell it's staged because the acting's really bad, but they're trying to do this. There's a ton of videos where people get into fights and it's clearly fake. There's one video, but the people still watch them. They still watch this stuff. Like a lady's pretending to be a DoorDash delivery person and then screams a guy out because he didn't tip her, and then they fight, and it's just obviously fake.
Do you think that it's because these things are geared towards young people and young people are less sophisticated in the entertainment that they'll watch?
One of the big issues that we're facing right now is that algorithms, they certainly understand the demographics they're targeting, but so I was talking to Google Ads several months ago, and I was explaining like they were discussing how Google Ads works and like targeting and all this stuff, and I said I don't see a reason like so when we run ads, we want to target the demographics that make the most sense for us, which is going to be not 18 to 25. It's going to be 25 to like 54, the key demo, which is like 80+% of our audience. And we want to target the Rust Belt, which we do the best in, Chicago namely. And they said, you can't do that anymore because young people are obfuscating their identities. So if you try and target by age, it's actually, your ad's probably not going to run. Most people that are new on the internet are using privacy systems and blockers so that Google can't even figure out if they're a man, woman, parent, or otherwise. And so those data trackers are becoming useless. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? That means that Instagram can't tell the difference between a 50-year-old guy and a 12-year-old. And if 12-year-olds aren't smart enough to discern when they're watching fake stuff, these videos that succeed will target young people in producing content that the young people are likely to watch. And then Instagram will then share those videos with older people, and you will get algorithmically driven 10-year-old focused algorithmically generated content popping up on your front page.
Yeah, and that's what happens on my Netflix too. Going back to my kids, like when they watch on my account before they were born, I've had the same account for almost 15 years now, and beforehand, I used to have like action movies and crime and suspense and TV shows and all kinds of stuff. But now it's with you got My Little Pony popping up here and there and all of these different kid shows, right? And that's what ends up happening. They do one show that they watch for 10, 15 hours, and next thing you know, my entire thing is flooded with kid shows.
As far as social media goes, I think there's like a chicken and the egg type problem with people being drawn to sex, drugs, violence, gambling, degeneracy on the platforms, and the algorithm continues to reinforce that. But us as people, we are drawn to that for one reason or another. The violent clips will get more eyes. The sexy clips will get more eyes. The gambling, the money being thrown around will draw more eyes. And You know, is it on the social media platforms to sort of discourage that or reinforce the things that many people are already looking and exciting them on the platforms?
That's how they make their money.
Yeah.
That's how they make their money. It's you know, more eyes, there's more ad revenue, you know, just this vicious cycle.
You know, and I've become like painfully aware of it as I cover different protests and as I'm about to post something that falls into one of those trends, whether it be a girl at a woman's march with her top off for whatever reason, that's going to get more views than just some chick with a sign. If there's a BLM protester fighting as opposed to just marching with some stupid chant, that's obviously going to get a lot more eyes. So it's just something to consider with a race to the bottom type feeling on a lot of these social media platforms.
Dean Withers, for instance, that liberal guy, he went on Jubilee. He got a lot of attention because he what did he like Gish Galloped Ben Shapiro or something. All he does now is interview random stupid people, and it works for him. And so this is the play. I mean, with all due respect to Charlie Kirk, he does these college tour videos where he debates, and Ben Shapiro did this too. I mean, look, listen, you want to be a prominent personality on the right? Go to universities and debate college kids who have no idea what they're talking about. Because Ben Shapiro used to do these college tours, and those videos would go viral of Ben Shapiro destroys, and it made it massive. Charlie Kirk right now, probably the biggest conservative personality, same thing. I see these videos popping up where he's talking to like some 20-year-old chick who has no idea up from down, and Charlie's, you know, running circles around her, and they go massively viral. And it's like, if you do an actual debate and sit down with a prominent personality who is learned and well-read, man, people are going to be like, you know, I don't know. Because people are going to be like, I don't really understand what happened. Here's a great example, or a great way to understand it. If I were to sit down and debate a liberal, and they just lied and made a bunch of stuff while sounding angry, it would go massively viral on the left. They would be like, oh, you owned him. It doesn't matter if it's true. What matters is the way it looks. So if they just started saying random things like, didn't you know that Donald Trump recently threw a dog from a bridge? You didn't see the video? This is what I'm talking about. You guys don't know what you're talking about. They'd be like, yeah, tell him. You'd be like, Trump never threw a dog off a bridge. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter. Angry leftists yelling at conservative equals views. So people like Dean Withers, he's going to go and interview some like fat middle-aged guy, and he's going to be like, oh, you didn't know this? And the guy's going to be like, oh, I guess not. And he's like, wow, I can't believe Trump supporters. But go actually talk to somebody who's learned, and it's not going to go anywhere.
They love their moral righteousness. Dean Withers.
It's true for the right, too. I'm saying, like, Charlie Kirk debating some 20-year-old on an issue who doesn't know what she's talking about, and then the whole audience is hooting at her, and he's laughing. They go viral. But, like, have a prominent liberal calmly discuss issues with someone on the right. It's like, yeah, I'll get some views.
Yeah, I mean, the emotional content is the stuff that drives everything on the internet.
What I'm saying is Timcast IRL is now going to be done live from Shepherdstown University, where instead of having guests, it'll just be me sitting in front of the stupidest liberals imaginable, where I just say, you're so dumb the whole time.
I was going to say, you know, the first culture war, in-person IRL culture war was really cool. It would be even cooler maybe if you did it on a college campus, invited some libs along.
That's the plan.
Hey, baby.
Well, the plan is actually to have it open and have libs. You know, we had several liberals at the first event come up and join the debate. So that's the plan. Moving forward, we've got several dates lined up. We're doing a few more like we did the first one. And I'm also thinking the strategy for colleges is, or for the show in general, is always personality, not issue. So it's like asking people to debate one issue for 2 hours. It doesn't really work because it's like, we've already said this, you know, how long until you've exhausted the topic and you've made your point? And what else is there to add? We disagree, we agree. But having individuals who have a set of ideals to be challenged allows for 4 or 5 hours. Let's jump to this next story, my friends. Guess what? We did this video. We did a segment on this last week. We have footage of Bigfoot, ladies and gentlemen. Is this Bigfoot? The answer is no, it's a guy in a suit. But more footage has come out. So this video went viral on Instagram where it showed a furry-type humanoid creature seen bristling through the trees. And everyone's like, what is that? What is that? Oh, it's Bigfoot. And everybody was talking about it. Now the Daily Mail has a closer, a zoomed-in video showing the Bigfoot. Look at him. Sasquatch.
Yeah.
It's a guy in a suit.
Yep.
Here you go. So, like,
You
a
can tell by the
mysterious...
music that it's a guy in a suit.
It almost looked like Smokey the Bear.
It does look like Smokey the Bear.
Oh, dude, that's so obvious. Dude. It doesn't even look like he's in a convincing suit.
Wait a minute. Actually, look. That looked like a hat. How do I close that?
That is totally Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, is it a guy in a Smokey the Bear costume?
Small hat?
Probably.
A small hat. A mysterious figure. So, as a Colorado River expedition was traveling down the Logan Kirk, so that he and about 12 others had stopped for lunch and they spotted the creature. Come on, just put the guy in a suit.
It wasn't.
Someone yelled that they saw a bear, so we started looking at it. And that's when we realized it was something else. It wasn't a bear. It was standing on the hillside. It was bipedal. The video, which has been viewed millions of times online, shows a large furry figure walking through the dense pine trees. The fact that it's doing this like fake hiding behind the trees, it's just some bored guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that there are people that still try and do it, but try and convince people that they got the big.
Why is it always the same type of blurry, faraway footage of Bigfoot?
In this age of AI,
It's fake.
why are we still doing these old tricks? AI can make much better and much more convincing videos, and we're stuck with this, like, obviously a man in a hat with some grainy footage. Like, aren't we in the future? This is what I'm saying with AI. It's a false bill of goods. Like, even our fake videos
You're
aren't.
wrong about AI, but fine.
Well,
You don't have to agree.
well, we'll see.
We will see.
Well,
But
You guys don't believe in Sasquatch?
I definitely don't believe in Sasquatch. No.
Yeah, no, I think.
But Elad doesn't believe in.
I don't believe in Sasquatch. I don't believe in AI. I don't believe in eating the bugs. I don't believe in getting in the pod and having them drive you there.
Well, hold on. It's a difference. You're using believe in different ways right there. Like AI
Well, it was
exists.
kind of memeing towards the end, but I think with AI, it's promising, it's under delivering and over promising. For what the bill of goods, what we're being told, and the way it will systematically change society and whatnot has yet to be seen.
Yeah, once you get AI that can learn and navigate like the real world that we live in properly, you put it into a humanoid body. I think Musk is probably pretty, right on about how many people are going to want to have a robot that can,
You know what I'm going to do?
vacuum for them and stuff.
I'm going to get one of those Optimus robots and I'm going to dress it up like Bigfoot and let it roam around the woods. People are going to be like, I found it. Wait a minute. Bigfoot was a robot. Bigfoot was a robot the whole time.
That's the best fanfic.
Or Chewbacca.
Just a Chewbacca costume on a robot.
How tall are the Optimus?
What are they? Probably like 5'7".
Yeah, they're definitely.
You know what's funny is like this Bigfoot thing right here. It's like, are you kidding me, dude? People were so dumb back then that a guy put on a suit and his buddy took a picture of it, and then they were like, "Look, it's true." Did people not just like get out of here? Like, but how did this become prominent?
People want to believe in cryptids, man.
Okay, I'm gonna. Can we just get like a Mothman guy and just take a picture and be like, "Look, there he is."
Sounds like a fun hobby.
$20 if you want to come take a look at
We
it.
probably could do that. Who's the tallest person here? We get Brian to dress up like the Mothman.
I already feel like Serge kind of looks like a caveman or something. Some type
The
of
West
gorilla.
Virginia caveman. He emerged from a glacier in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
I'll just grab T-Bone from one of my shows.
You guys want to dress up,
yeah,
start
there you
hanging out in the hills in the Appalachian
Shout
Mountains?
Good way to
T-Bone.
die.
I guess so.
Hang
by
up like an animal and walk through the
Hang
woods.
by the Potomac as people raft by. They'll take pictures of us, put us on the news.
Actually, that is a really good idea. Because like by the river, you can like off the Appalachian Trail, you can go down and there's just like fire pits and rope swings.
Yeah.
You just get like 4 Bigfoot costumes, and then you set up camp, put the costumes on briefly as the people who go on the inner tubes are going by, and then you just act like Sasquatch or whatever, and then panic and then run away, and take the costumes off, put them back in your bag, and go back to eating your burgers or whatever you're doing.
I just want to be like the Sasquatch that's in there ripping butts. Just throwing down darts. Smoking cigarettes. No, just smoking cigarettes, man. Just in there.
And then everyone takes pictures of you, and they're like, "This proves that Bigfoot is real." And that just proves that people wear costumes.
And also, I mean, the thing, chimpanzees, they smoke cigarettes. So why not Bigfoot? Makes sense.
Yeah, I never thought of it like
When
that.
you think of it like that.
Why do people want to believe in Bigfoot?
I don't understand any of this.
Life's
stuff
not
at all.
exciting enough, man.
Yeah, but believe in aliens or pretend to. I don't know.
I think there's something about the undiscovered on our planet that is kind of interesting and beautiful. It's like, you know, generations prior, they had opportunities to discover all these different animals, all these different species, all these crazy creatures, you know, and we lived past that generation.
I think the ability to overlap matters, though, because there's plenty of things that are unexplored. The ocean depths are almost completely and totally unexplored. And then outside of the basically our solar system is basically unexplored. It's just what we can see. So like the fact that you overlap with the woods, right? Your daily life that you can actually do things in overlaps with this spooky, scary place, which is the woods where there aren't people. It's that overlap that makes people that are like, that have that desire to read these stories and stuff. It's the overlap that makes it compelling.
They're like us, but they're different. They're bipedal.
Yeah,
and they're hairy. It's like my husband, but...
Well, because it could happen also.
I'm pretty sure that like all folklore and mythology is just some dude by himself saw a coyote or bear, and then he's like he's walking from one small British village to the next, and then on the way there's just like he sees a midget. And, I'm sorry, little person. I think that's an offensive term. We say little person. That's what we say. You're not supposed to say that.
Fine.
And so he sees a little person, and he's walking by, and he's got his stick with the bag on it. And then the little person walks by and goes, "Sir?" And he goes, "Oh." Then he comes, and he was like, "There was a wee person. It was a leprechaun, I swear." And it's just like, that was just a guy who was short, dude.
That is how that's how like stories of giants in the north is because the Swedes are and the people from Finland and stuff, they're all tall.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Or like
the kernel of truth in
I think,
those.
what do they say? Like, what is it called? Like a porphyria or something? Porphyria?
Don't know what that is.
It's that disease where you're like anemic, so you're pale and gangly and your hair falls out and then your gums recede.
Oh, so you turn into a zombie.
Vampire.
Vampire? Oh, sounds sufficiently disgusting.
It is kind of funny that like zombies are basically just rabies,
Yes.
but like fast rabies.
28 Day zombies are fast rabies.
No, I mean like rabies takes a while before you start going and then you die. Whereas in movies, you get by the zombie, you turn to a zombie right away.
You know why you don't want to, why you foam at the mouth when you get rabies?
You're dehydrated.
Not only that, but it causes you pain to swallow.
Yeah.
So like
Hydrophobia.
yeah,
People feel anxiety and pain around water.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so they just
The moment you get rabies symptoms, you're already dead.
oh yeah, you're doomed.
Scary.
How do
Yeah,
we
but
get to
rabies is like because it's because we're talking about like myths. Like where did zombies come from? Some dude had rabies, and there was a guy going and like foaming at the mouth, and they were like,
Eat 3 people before he died. Like,
well, humans have always had like a fascination with like some kind of like or some kind of like undead stuff. Like whether it be like, you know, the voodoo has you know elements of undead, and then there's like all the Aztec stuff. They were worshiping death and stuff. So like that's something that human beings have done forever. You know, the humans have always found, you know, sex and death. It's the two most, you know, creating new people and dying is the thing that has been compelling to one of the things.
It's wild to me that there are people who play video games like World of Warcraft, where it's like you run from the little town center and there's like a man standing there and he's like, "If only I had 10 boar skins, please go out and collect 10 boar skins." And people actually sit there and then just mindlessly go, "Huh, huh," until they kill a boar. And then 1 in 3 will drop the boar skin. So they kill about 30, go back to the man and he's like, "Thank you for the boar skins." And it goes boom when you get experience. And I'm just like, why are you willing to do that and not like garden or just, I don't know, work? Why not just have a job?
Do a real life quest and like, I don't know, do tasks for money and then you can buy things with the money like cool armor or something to transport you from point A to point B. I never got World of Warcraft. I was a Warcraft
Just video games in general. Like
because they want to be against the grain. That's why they don't want to have to just do everything the regular way, and then that's boring.
It's also
I get video
crazy
games if
'cause,
you're
like-
a kid, but then you get older.
But adults are
develop
playing
hobbies.
it, and they're like, if I get to this level and make this much gold, I'll be able to buy this item from the auction house in World of Warcraft, and it's like the glowing sword of fire or whatever. And I'm just like, or you can literally buy the glowing sword of fire from the blacksmith down the street if you get a job and do real quests in life. And it's just weird. It's like, I don't know. People, I think all this mass media has fried our brains because video games are art imitating life to some degree. It's fantastical, but like, I don't know, a couple hundred years ago, kids are probably excited about working, saving up, and buying that rifle or that sword or that bike or whatever it was. And they were like, oh man, I can't wait to buy that thing. It's going to be really awesome. And now it's like, I can't wait to go do nonsensical virtual work for no reason so that I can buy an item I don't own that exists only in this video game.
Yeah, I guess it depends on which video game you're talking about, but there is a lot of the goal-oriented stuff that you get in video games. You're trying to complete missions or complete the whole, whatever, a whole game or whatever. That kind of stuff is, it gives them the sense of accomplishment without actually doing much and having to really exert yourself. So it's like
yeah, you're probably right. It's basically like in the real world, nobody screams and lifts you up and jumps around because you completed an 8-hour shift at work. But in a video game, you can beat one level and it's like, you did it. And then you get that dopamine hit for doing something not particularly hard but feels great. Like slaying Onyxia in old classic World of Warcraft. You accomplished nothing over the span of 2 hours, but 2 hours to have 40 people cheering and being like, we did it, woohoo! Yep. As opposed to going to work for 8 hours and then being like, well, I'll be back tomorrow, otherwise you're fired. And you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, there's little immediate reward for most people when it comes to their jobs, especially if they're repetitive and stuff. You know, it's the paycheck is the reward. So the idea that you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment for a lot of jobs is just not there, and people get that from video games.
Yeah. All right, my friends, we're gonna go to your chats and Rumble rants. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know, and don't forget. At rumble.com/Timcast IRL, we are going to have that uncensored call-in show coming up at 10 p.m. So join the Timcast Discord server at timcast.com. Your chats will appear on screen, and you can actually call in to talk to us and our guests. But let's see what you guys have to say, and let's get it. Shane H. Wilder, always with the first Rumble rant, says, I had someone ask me, how is Biden using AutoPen different than using DocuSign? Maybe because me renewing my lease isn't as important as a president signing pardons. Hi, Roma. What up, homie? Actually, it's because with AutoPen, Biden isn't pressing go. They're putting the pen in a machine, placing a document in front of it, and the machine just draws the signature. DocuSign is you attesting under penalty of perjury that you signed it. Yep. So that's where it gets interesting.
I think the issue at hand here is that it wasn't Joe Biden using the AutoPen. It was other people using Joe Biden's AutoPen or having him do it while not being fully aware what he was doing. And that's where the scandal lies.
The question as to whether or not he's aware is the actual substantive problem. So,
All right. Let's see. Omnistone Herald says, do it, Democrats. Come out and defend a terrorist who just immolated a Holocaust survivor. Tell us why the family is more important than Americans.
Just their silence should be a big deal.
Silence is violence?
Well, no, that's not what but the media is not, like, there's no Democrats, no legacy media trying to investigate this. If there were 3 Tea Party-based, assaults or murders or whatever, people would be losing their mind, and the entire media would say, we're on the verge of a civil war and blah, blah, blah. We got to get the government to wrap these people. But it would be absolutely insane. And you had a government agent, like governor's mansion was firebombed. There's 2 people murdered in D.C. and then the gas tech, and they have nothing to say. It blows my mind.
I'm excited to see the Democrats defend this. My question here is, how politically calculated do you think the Trump administration was in deciding to deport the families to? Do you think they were thinking on purpose, like, we're going to not only deport, we're going to jail him, criminalize him for whatever we can, but then we're going to deport the family, and we know the Democrats will defend him, so we're going to turn this into a whole news story and bait them into defending this family to keep it in the news. Am I 3D chessing this too hard?
So now the Republicans are going to be like, we're deporting a college student. Turns out was friends with this guy.
Because it feels like an overstep, but an overstep in the correct direction, which would be hard to defend. And the president and the administration seems to have done that a few times, baiting the Democrats into defending things that are otherwise shouldn't be
Trump
defended.
does it all the time.
Well, the question is how calculated. I don't know if I'm projecting the 3D chess onto him or they're thinking.
I'm just happy that this is the situation that we're in. I want the Democrats to defend, the family. I'm going to say, you can't send them. I want that because the American people are not going to take kindly to that. So
I think less Muhammads in the country might be a good thing.
Let's grab some super chats. We got Jason Dixon who says, shout out to my dog, AK. He also says, shout out to Tim, shout out the Discord over at timcast.com. Click join us. Sign up for the Discord server. Hang out with real people, man. Hang out with real people. Oh, let's see. What else do we got going on over here? Oh, man. Trevin Lane says June was made Men's Mental Health Month in U.S. Congress in 1994 before it became Pride Month. I think that it is better to focus on men's mental health as no one sane really cares about sexual preferences anymore. Indeed.
I think that's good.
All right. Dixon says, bring back mental health asylums. Agreed.
Totally.
Bring back the ability to involuntarily commit people.
Doing that to like the top 500 worst offenders in New York City would transform the city.
Jacob Ollie says Rand Paul and Thomas Massie are ruining Trump's big bill. I understand issues with it, but they were on the news today talking about why they won't compromise. They're Dems now. Primary them out. I don't care. Phil, libs be damned.
There is no chance of Thomas Massie getting primaried out.
Yep.
Zero chance.
And
same thing with Rand Paul. His constituents love him.
Elon Musk is calling out the big beautiful bill because it adds 2.5 trillion to the deficit.
$1 trillion.
And it gives it strips the states their rights to regulate AI at the state level, which is nuts because it violates 9 and 10 in the Constitution.
Yep.
So yeah, I got problems with Trump's big beautiful bill as well, and I feel like it's going into crazy town. Don't
let perfect be the enemy of good. These libertarians are too principled. You will not be able to get everything you want in this bill, obviously, if you knew what governing was like. But guess what? Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, they don't need to worry about actually maintaining a Republican majority, so they could grandstand, and that's what they're doing.
I want everyone to know 1 million seconds ago was May 23rd. 1 billion seconds ago was 1993. 1 trillion seconds ago was 30,000 years before Christ. We are in far too much debt, and there is nothing unserious about trying to rein in spending.
But they're not doing it in a serious way. But that's neither here nor there.
It's an addiction.
Grandstand.
30,000 years ago is a trillion.
Congress,
but you're not getting
broken.
that in this bill.
And Trump is basically saying, "Screw it! I don't care. Give me what I need to get what I want done." And it's creating a ton of damage in excess because Congress is a bunch of narcissists and psychopaths. There's no getting around it. The Congress is fundamentally broken.
I guess the issue here is Trump doesn't want austerity, which is the solution to our debt problem, under his watch. That's what it comes down to. Does he want to raise taxes, cut Social Security, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid? No, he'll be extremely unpopular. But those are the seriously hard pills that we'll need to swallow. Are Americans ready to swallow it? No. So I don't know where that leaves us.
Well, my question is, like, how much money can he cut over the next 3.5 years?
Hypothetically, he could cut, as I understand, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and then he could also increase taxes.
But how much is that? Like, what is a tangible number?
So I think our 2/3 of our budget annually goes to Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and entitlement programs.
Mandatory spending, yeah.
So, and then we'd need to bump up taxes too to bring in more and spend less. But that's not what anybody who's getting elected is trying to seriously do, because it's not something the Americans are seriously trying to do. But
well, that's my problem, because that's exactly what issue we're going to keep running into, is that the one time that you're going to have to say we have to raise taxes, boop, you're out.
It's going to be austerity measures or inflation are inevitable. It's probably going to be less austerity and more inflation, frankly. So,
yeah,
as an informal tax against all of us, by the way. That's what inflation is, an informal tax on us.
Yeah, that's likely what it will be.
All right, let's grab some more. What do we got? We got some chats here. Braha says, yo, it's your boy Brandon of the North, following Timcast tradition and reporting that we are watching from the delivery room as my second child, firstborn son, is peeking his head out of his mom.
Wow.
Kyle, gonna play ATR for him, too.
Mazel tov.
Right on.
Congrats.
American M says, hey, Tim, did you see the big bill that Trump wants to make makes any regulations on AI illegal for 10 years? And also, did you see that they have blasphemy laws in the UK now? It's at the state level. States wouldn't be allowed to regulate it for 10 years, which is crazy. Yeah. Let's see. Marianne McGrowan says Tim should send Biden a free skateboard. Why?
She wants him to hurt himself on a skateboard, so it sounds.
Dan Zoom says, hi, AK. Welcome to Costco. I love you. Just kidding. You're getting deported. Watch the drive-in on ROMA Nation.
You're an illegal?
Shh.
Oy vey. Stuck for Allah.
Right.
Let's see, what have we here? Pool Hall says, guys attack Jays with fire. Tim, quote, are we sure he hates the Jays? Some of them were Jewish. That was not part of the report. I don't know if all of them were Jewish. It was people. So you had people who had been consistently for a year peacefully protesting silently to bring awareness to Israeli hostages. The subject matter of which they were promoting was Israeli, and a guy screamed, free Palestine, and then set them on fire. So yes, there is a question of whether or not the guy was specifically targeting Jews or targeting Israelis or people who supported Israel or Zionists or whatever. Nuance matters. It's absurd that when Chauvin is trying when they're trying to arrest George Floyd and Floyd dies and Chauvin is kneeling on him using a practice the Minnesota police trained, according to the defense, they say he was a racist white supremacist. And I'm like, no, it just so happened that he was white and the guy was black. He didn't kill him because he was black. And the left is gonna say, nope, it's racism. It's the structure of the system. Yeah, I think there's a distinction between when you hate someone based on them being Jewish or you hate Israel. There is an overlap, but yeah, I think it's a legitimate question. Mark G. Deddy says, Tim simps for the Jew haters like Elijah Schaefer, Cassandra Fairbanks, we put McDonald, and Scott Horton because he is weak and afraid to lose the Groyper viewers. The Groypers hate me. I call them Israel first. That's why I say y'all are nuts. You all deserve each other in your wackaloon little world where the only countries that exist are Israel and Palestine.
That's so funny because I see so many memes of Tim with payas.
I know. And they're like,
I love the memes with Tim in the hat and the payas.
And we had the Groypers were chatting saying that we were forced to hire Elad because all podcasts have to have a Jew on them or something like that.
APAC handler, yes.
An APAC handler, yep. And I'm like, no. Elad takes orders from me. I take orders from APAC.
That's what Tim
Not the other way around. Now they're going to take that seriously and they're going to run with it because they're nuts.
Tim has the bigger cap, guys. Pay attention.
That's how it works. The bigger your hat, the more authority you have.
Exactly.
People don't know that, but the highest authority of the Jews, they have massive big hats.
Yeah.
You know, it gets bigger.
Yeah. Just like the guy in the woods.
That's right. Big hat.
Oh, so now you're playing for the Israelis and the Russians.
Yes. Yeah. Those big, what are those big hats called? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes, I do. There are different versions of them. They're the fur ones.
Yeah.
Those are the super ones, and I forgot what they're called.
The Hasidics, Jewish, they wear like this big hat.
It's not my breed of Jew that wears those. So we have our own customs.
What's the difference?
Shrimmel?
They don't touch.
Shrimmel, that's what it's called.
Shrimmel?
Do you touch buttons on Saturday?
My parents don't. So
but you do.
They still keep the Sabbath. I don't keep the Sabbath.
Oh, man. They can't. Oh, jeez.
Even if I don't.
You're making your mom cry,
Jude
right?
in, Jude out. Yeah, and then I admitted it online. It's even worse.
That's terrible. You're embarrassing her.
I had I lived in, where is it? Brunswick? I don't know. Not Brunswick. Bushwick in Brooklyn. And so I was right on the border of where it was all the Hasidic Jews. And my neighbor was bringing home groceries, and I was walking right by him, and he was like, you want to do me a favor and hit my button for me? And I was like, sure. And I, like, literally my next door neighbor, and I was walking back from the grocery store. And so I hit the elevator button, and then a bunch of Groypers called me a Shabbos Goy.
Yeah.
Because that's what it means. It means he wasn't allowed to press the button, so I did it for him. And so they were insulting me with it. Yeah, and I was just like, boy. I tried to explain to these guys, listen, people who hate Jews, it is not offensive to me when you accuse me of doing things that I've done and don't care about. Like, they post pictures of me with, like, a hat on or, like, whatever that scarf thing is called. And I'm like, I am not offended by that because I don't hate Jews. They do. So in their minds, it's offensive to be photoshopped to look like a Jew. Yeah. But if you don't hate Jews, you just be like, okay, you can Photoshop me as a samurai next. I'm still not going to get mad.
I'm not Jewish.
Actually, the samurai thing would be cool. Do that.
How does it feel to be the target of anti-Semitism despite not being Jewish?
It's annoying.
And the other way around.
So it's interesting because you still face bigotry against Jews despite not being Jewish. So people make Jew jokes at you and so on.
Jujus.
So, I forgot what they call the Timcast show IRL, but I don't know, Jewcast IRL.
Jewcast
Yeah.
IRL.
How did I forget?
And then,
Sometimes
you ever see that video where it was like a guy with a green screen and he was like, 26.3% of all Timcast guests are Jewish.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Have they been keeping track recently? I feel like there have been less and less of my people around the year.
You can guarantee that someone in the chat is just spamming USS Liberty.
At all times.
That actually spills over into PCC every once in a while. Someone in the chat.
I've seen
Well,
that
it's
a couple
because
of times.
they made a fake video of, it was an edited video of me and Ian, and these people are mentally unwell. They believe these things.
Yep.
So we were talking, Ian brought up USS Liberty, and then what I said was, it doesn't matter if it's a false flag because the intended effect happens regardless. So if there's an attack, let's say like a nuclear power plant blows up, the U.S. then claims it was Russia. Russia claims it was Ukraine. It doesn't matter in a functional sense because the effect of the war will be people in the U.S. will believe it was Russia. People in Russia will believe it was Ukraine. And it will be used as intended by whatever party who did it. They edited it. So instead of me explaining it, it just stops and cuts to dead air.
Yep.
And then even Sam Hyde was sharing it. And it's like, okay, dude, like I've got no one, they live in a psychotic reality. Like Stu Peters, what happened to this guy?
Nuts.
They've lost their minds. The guy's tweeting about final solutions.
Crazy.
These people have lost their minds, dude. Anyway, I see in the chat right now, USS Liberty.
How could we forget?
I read a bunch of reports about it too, and it's just like, yeah, these people are.
It's the only
obsessed.
friendly fire incident people can name specifically. Friendly fire incidents happen all the time during
There's like
war.
400 friendly fire incidents. This is the thing I'm talking about with these people, and I do think a lot of people pander to this because they want the engagement.
Yes.
But this is why I say, okay, if you want to talk about that conflict, fantastic. I don't care, whatever. But when I bring up any other conflict, if you can't talk about it, I'm going to ask you why. Why is there only one country you care about? That's why I say they're Israel first. And then Elijah was like, why don't you debate Nick? And I'm like, what's the debate? He can say whatever he wants about Israel, this, Israel, that, Jews, this, Jews, that. I'll go, okay. So you clearly care more about Israel than about anything else. That's my point. You want to talk about anything else? By all means, do it. But these people who live in the world where Israel is the only country that matters, it is mind blowing to me.
There are people that really believe.
Our president goes to Saudi Arabia to beg the king not to pump oil, and then they're like, but Israel. And I'm like, we have Saudi princes. Like, remember when they murdered that journalist, and it was like this huge, crazy thing? And they're like, no, Israel's in charge. And I'm like, bro, we are begging the Qataris, we are begging the Emirates, we are begging the Saudis not to pump oil because it'll negatively impact the petrodollar and we need to control prices. Now we got off the 50-year lease, it ended, and we're desperately trying to maintain control. And they're telling us Israel runs the world, and I'm like, y'all don't read the news. You just live in your crackpot reality.
And they wouldn't believe the news even if they did read the news because the news is run by Jews.
I do love that when
Right.
when the apps, what was it? What was the documents that got JFK files?
Yeah.
Got released, and then a bunch of people online were like, "Dude, Israel's not mentioned once. Isn't that weird?"
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, the absence of Israel is proof of Israel. Oh my god.
I hate to bring it up, but the Glenn Greenwald stuff, it's already being blamed on Israel. I don't know what the evidence was. Israel forced Glenn Greenwald to pay a guy and do
film.
drugs
How did-
with
and
him
how did it
and
get
to
filmed?
film him.
This is-
Israel forced them on their knees.
Okay, Glenn Greenwald.
Good.
These videos leak. I have not watched them. I don't intend to watch them. I'm glad I missed that cycle. But they're saying now the CIA and Mossad have leaked this video footage to discredit him or whatever. And it's just like, why'd you film it?
Well, the Mossad forced him to film it. They forced him to hire a prostitute and get on his knees and act like a maid and do drugs.
That proves it. So
proves it.
you admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was involved. No. I don't even.
But
want to
he
pretend that-
said, Glenn
But it
Greenwald,
makes it more salacious, and more people will come to his defense as a result of that being the angle. And now the craziest tradcons are coming to the defense of the most degenerate behavior, sick, degenerate.
Wow, Matt
drug-
Walsh isn't.
What tradcons are defending him?
I think there are a lot. I think Matt Walsh is the exception.
Yeah,
among many
Candace Owens, I think,
tradcons.
defended him.
Yeah. A lot of people who are otherwise.
Really? Candace Owens was defending him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
But
she
the
wasn't the
bigger
only
issue
one.
at play here.
Yeah, but Glenn Greenwald said he didn't know how it got filmed, and he wasn't aware of that or whatever. And it's like, I was he wearing you might have mentioned this, wearing the glasses?
Maybe I saw. I mean, I saw a still, and I don't know how.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what the video was like. But like, there. So Matt Walsh was mentioning there's like a meth pipe. Someone tweeted at Glenn Greenwald being like, "Hey, it looks like somebody was doing meth there."
Didn't deny it. Yeah.
He didn't. He just completely avoided it and said, "I'm proud of my personal life." So then what people are saying is, when he says, "I'm not doing drugs, but I don't remember how this got filmed," the response from people is, "Well, there's the drug pipe. You must have been on a drug bender, and you can't remember because you were whacked out of your mind." But here's what I gotta say: I'm like, I can separate the journalist from the journalism, and you're allowed to be like, maybe Glenn Greenwald shouldn't be doing degenerate things. And if he reported something factual on Israel, that's fine too. I don't, whatever. So Matt Walsh is criticizing him over moral issues unrelated to his journalism, and people are attacking Matt Walsh for it. And I'm like, no, hold on. You're allowed to criticize people for whatever you want. Matt Walsh didn't say anything about his journalism. He talked about his moral behavior. Why are you conflating the two? So all these people are coming out to defend Glenn Greenwald, and I'm like, Glenn Greenwald was doing nasty stuff he shouldn't be doing. He's also done fantastic journalism and disclosed very important things.
Yep.
Both of those things can be addressed. I don't know.
I just don't want to talk about what else he's doing.
Well, he's got kids. I mean, that is concerning. I put it this way. Do you believe that if a man went to an adoption agency and said, "I'd like to adopt 3 kids," and then said, "By the way, I will be filming myself engaging with male prostitutes, spending thousands of dollars on this. There will be drug paraphernalia, drug use in the room." Do you think the agency is going to be like, "Okay, we'll send the kids home to you"? They'd be like, "No, you're disqualified instantly." So I agree with Matt Walsh in that regard. If you are, and then the response from a lot of people is like, "Well, these kids are going to be worse off in the orphanage," and I'm just like, listen, it's all bad. But we don't send kids from an orphanage to go live with somebody who is hiring male prostitutes. Right? We just don't do it. And then the response on the left is going to be, there are parents who have kids right now who are hiring prostitutes. Yes, and it's bad, and we shouldn't tolerate that.
Yeah.
All of it's bad. So the drug use thing I'm wary on because I've not seen the video. I've only heard everyone saying there's a meth or crack pipe in the video. So let me just say, if Glenn Greenwald went to an adoption agency and said, "I'd like to adopt several kids," I will be on video with male prostitutes and meth and crack pipes. They're going to be like, "No, you can't have a kid."
I think this speaks to his judgment.
If he didn't, I mean, look, his journalism is journalism. I don't care.
I think his journalism is more or less anti-American garbage that, I don't know, seems to have become popular in some corners of our country right now.
The Snowden disclosures were historical and extremely important. I've been critical of Edward Snowden because he's not a whistleblower, he's a leaker. There's a difference. When you whistleblow, you say, "Here is an illegal thing that my company or government is doing. And if you can't go through proper channels, you release it to journalists and you blow the whistle on it." What Snowden did was released a ton of documents he didn't read to Laura Poitras and Glenn Greenwald, who then disseminated to a bunch of news organizations. And when challenged on this, he actually said, maybe I should have read and redacted some of this stuff. Because I think what happened was some of the information he released got released unredacted and compromised the identity of some U.S. Assets abroad, putting them at risk and forcing evacuations and stuff. And I think it might have been John Oliver, maybe, or Colbert, I can't remember who, challenged him on this, saying this document wasn't redacted, got sent out and compromised a U.S. personnel. And he was like, maybe I should have been more careful. But then he admitted, I didn't actually read it all. I just took a whole bunch of documents and gave it away. So that's leaking. That's not whistleblowing. Yeah. That's different. Anyway, let's see what else we got. What do we have here? The line says there's wording in the big, beautiful bill that removes NFA restrictions for suppressors.
Yep.
I'll deal with the rest of that when. Repeal the NFA. Wait, for real?
Yeah, the Hearing Protection Act is in the new bill.
So if they pass the big, beautiful bill, suppressors go off the NFA?
Yep.
I'm for it. Pass the bill. I'm going to call Thomas Massey right now and be like, are you kidding me?
I have a friend.
It's already in the Senate. Hit up Rand Paul instead.
I already bought.
Oh, Rand Paul. I'm going to call Rand Paul right now. I'm gonna DM him.
I already
Trump
bought the-
shot off a few,
DM
what was
him.
it, truths this morning, railing against Rand. So we need to start lobbying him to get him on.
I can lobby him right now. Should I DM him?
Yes.
Yes.
I already bought a can,
Go to X.
another can. I'm just waiting, and I'm not going to actually purchase it from the FFL until I find out if the Hearing Suppression Act Hearing Protection Act is in there. If it's not and it passes, Trump signs it, I'm going to buy that thing right away. Save myself $200.
Rand
like
Paul
Rand
can
Paul. He's
leverage his vote on making sure that stays in the Senate version of the bill, if he decided to vote for it. But if he just decides to sit on the sideline, he'll have no pull.
So we can all have suppressors if they pass this thing?
Yep. Well, any states
That's the
where it's
only
legal.
thing that matters. Literally nothing else in politics is important other than us having the right to own suppressors.
It's about time some Jews got their suppressors.
What?
What?
No, just getting their arms.
Jews
You
can own
know, I don't know. I
suppressors.
didn't want to do the sob story, so now we're talking about the getting gun story.
Yeah, great. I love it.
Suppressors.
Yeah.
I will buy
Because
one.
loud noises are very scary.
I know most Jews are in New York and California, but there are some Jews sprinkled in states where you're allowed to own suppressors.
Well, that's why I'm in West Virginia now. West Virginius.
It's a great decision.
Texas will sell the suppressor to you
Yep.
at the state level, won't they?
Yeah.
Like they'll ignore the federal law, I think.
If it's made in Texas, they will sell it to you and say, we're not going to tell the NFA anything about this.
The
We're not going
ATF.
to tell the feds about this at all.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, wow. Well, if Rand Paul is the only objector, though, it's probably going to pass, right?
It's him and then maybe Susan Collins.
Oh, she's the worst.
So I think it's a 53-47 Republican Democrat
win.
split. So they could afford to lose 3, Rand Paul, Susan Collins, and
How did
Lisa
they-
Murkowski, and then JD would be the...
How did they get this in the bill?
a lot of work. The GOA and NAGR, they really busted their humps.
Wow.
Firearms Policy Coalition. These bills are there's also one called the Short Act that would get rid of short barrel rifles and short barrel shotguns that are off the
That's not in there.
but it's not in there. They're trying to get it in the Senate. It's possible that they might get the Short Act in the Senate. They got the Hearing Protection Act in the House. So, but these bills were, already.
Rand Paul should come out and be like, this is a terrible bill that's going to increase the deficit by $2.5 trillion. But we all get suppressors. Let's go.
I love it. I love
I'd be
it.
like, yes.
I literally love it. So,
But I do like Rand Paul. I think he's great. All right, my friends, we're going to go to that uncensored call-in show over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. Don't miss it. Don't forget to join that Discord server at timcast.com if you want to call in and talk to us and our guest. It'll be a lot of fun. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Roma, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm the host of ROMA Nation, also the founder of ROMA Nation Network. We got all of our daily shows every single day. You can go to risemiddleamerica.com, look up at the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and that's where you can see all of our socials and support our creators and help us promote this post-cancel culture society.
Awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's show. I am Elad Eliyahu, the White House correspondent here at Timcast. You can find me on social media under Elad Eliyahu if you want to see me causing trouble in the White House.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. New record is called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.